Speaking of, we should probably get to manufacturing the adventure. Kandor cannot. That's the Kandor attitude. Adventure V10. Man, Ro is just bleeding salt. Oh gosh. Huh, our dungeon was supposed to remove salt from people and things. And so Romonger must have got caught in the pipes. All his salt's just getting extracted from his body. Alright, now, my personal preference is not to use experience points. If you use experience points at home, more power to you. You're managing things your own way, your players are enjoying it, that's what matters. I like going by milestones because you can plot out a general course for a campaign to take in this fashion, and it can be a little easier. Now, you can't always account for the decisions your party members are going to take, but if you at least say, look, at these points in time, these things are going to happen, whether the party's there or not, it sets them against a living world. It sets them against, you know what, yeah, they could just sit on their thumbs for a month, but you know what? Everyone else around, including the invading empire, including whatever dire catastrophe that Tundle has predicted, that's not going to wait for them. It's still going to happen in the course of the campaign. And so by at least setting out milestones and expectations, what must your PCs do generally in order to earn a level up? Well, here it is. You think Plunder is forfeiting their potential winnings? Well, I mean, look, maybe Plunder got a phone call or something, or, you know, people have kids or pets, or things happen. But, you know, when Plunder comes back, we'll resolve that combat. And Clark, I'm sorry if I didn't welcome. I saw you comment. If I didn't say welcome, then, you know, shame on me. And welcome to the channel. It's good having you back here. And you say you're going to lose your first Hearthstone game of the night. Oh, well, hang in there, man. We'll all help you, cheer you on as best as we can. By the way, Clark, I have wanted to ask. I didn't ask last time, but are you kicking the Kandor? We'll see, because again, depending on how this is going to take place, you know, that could influence the title. And Bobicus is also here. Oh, Bobicus exits lurk mode, right? He's disengaged his stealth and he materializes out of nothingness. But I have nothing to say other than present. That's fine, Bobicus. Any of you are welcome to lurk. You don't have to chat. It's just nice seeing you when you do, even if it's like a little circle slash to say hi. Although, watch out, Bobicus. You grew 4 arms last time you tried to do that. But Clark, have you been feeling better, a little bit better lately? I know you said that you had kind of the headaches and things going on. Not to air things out here, but hey, you're a part of the community, and I want to make sure we're looking out for each other. But are you you back in the saddle, kind of a thing? Anything you can door, I can door better. Dark Wolf, you can't beat me at my own game. Though, if you want to remember those titles, maybe we can apply those here when we're done generating the story. Yeah, womp womp. Yep. Critically failed. Oh, row. Yeah. Forearmed is forewarned. Hey, that's a good... Bobicus is getting ahead, right? We haven't even made a Thrycreen campaign, and there's our title for it, right? You're listening while prepping for a remote game? Hey, no problem, Dorgrim. That's perfectly fine. This is kind of a talk show as well. I don't have fancy graphics on the screen. Right, this is as fancy as the graphics get. Oh, MS Paint, look at that. But just, yeah, listen to it. It's a talk show. Enjoy. But still, you know, thanks for saying something. You'll list your Kandor puns? Yeah, if you want to throw them in Discord, you can do that too. Well, no, I know that there's that, Clark, but I think you were kind of just like, you were in a little bit of a funk last time, and, you know, like any headaches or whatever aside, you know, hopefully, I don't know, it's like springtime kind of rejuvenated you, filled you with energy, or, you know, as you're coming to the end of this, of your lessons and everything, like, is this, are you finding yourself in a little bit more, like, positive, like, yeah, I'm gonna go out and get him kind of a thing? By the way, as we go through our milestones for the campaign, we've already done the how does the group get together, right? We come down here, and by the way, we're doing kind of the same thing that we did with the Meso Masquerade. In terms of plot, we've discussed the heroic journey, we've gone through that, and I can bring that up as a reference as well if you all did need to see what that meant. But effectively, there's going to be a part of our campaign where we're in the world that we're aware of. We're going to be called out to a journey, and we're gonna head out into something mysterious or that we don't know too much about. There's going to be some conflicts along the way, and that will then end up getting resolved, and we're going to return back to the world of the normal. We're not going to stick harshly to the hero's journey. There's a very classic way of writing. We do that if we were writing a novel, maybe a little bit more than a campaign, because especially if we're presenting a living world, there's not necessarily going to be a normal world anymore. And part of that is the point even in writing, right? You've matured along your way, along your journey, you've grown strong. The things you knew before are no longer the same. No, I got you, Clark. We're, oh, I hope I didn't somehow, like, make you feel awkward or whatever by bringing that up, but, you know, you talked about it, you know, that you had your headaches and stuff going on, and I just wanted to make sure you're doing okay. I know that there's a lot of you who come in and you chat and you watch and you participate, and I may not remember everything about you, but I do my best to pay attention to the things that you say in chat and to respond to those in kind, and to just, you know, hope for the best and say, look, we're all a community. As much as we can get together, you know, especially Clark, with you going out of your way to make that list of jokes for Tasha's Hideous Laughter, that had me that had me personally just like absolutely cracking up. I was loving that. And if you want to share more of those, by the way, I'd love for you to be able to do that. If any of you don't know, Clark is rolling a bard character, and he has 4 notebook pages of dad jokes that he is using as the verbal component for the spell Tasha's Hideous Laughter. I thought that was a really good idea. But anyway, Dossie's Das. Alright, so we had our party get together. We had some sort of a pre-game, right? That was the conversation with us as PCs that we just had before. How are we getting together? What are we doing? And now it's up to the DM to look at our character, our party character sheet, and say, alright, I know what I want to present, and this is how I'm going to go about doing this. We have some really compelling items in the individual sheets as well. As a DM, don't forget, these sections of your player's character sheets contain a lot of things for you to be able to use to spotlight your characters, to make villains, betrayals, twists for good or ill, things along those lines. Sorry. My cannon fire was a little loud in my ears. What we can also do as a milestone plotting DM is remember that on well, unless they multi-class, but we don't have any multi-classed, every 4 levels, with the exception that they get their last ASI or feat at 19 instead of 20, if you want something dramatic to happen, or you can say, oh, their milestone to hit level 4 is, you know, they have a, I don't know, we'll say a boss battle of some kind in level 3, and that leads to level 4. And so then we say, oh, well, in level 2, how do they get to the boss battle? So you can plot out with their character advancement if you know that you're running a druid and your druid gets wild shape at level 2, and let's say you're starting at level 1, what is allowing for this character to be able to earn that ability? Was it because the level 1 adventure took place in druid lands, and so then they were able to reflect on that, and the power was unlocked? However you want to flavor it, you're bringing this to your world through its culture, its magic, its races and classes, things like that. A Kandor personality. Alright, so we know from our notes, we have these 2 hermit characters. One of them is carrying, right here, a discovery that if it were to come to light, it could bring ruin to the world, or the world as we know it. This could be a set against the backdrop of the war against the Imperials. By the way, it's a good lemon iced tea. Very, very nice. Not too sour. She's still seeking enlightenment, so she's kind of along for the ride. Maybe because this is her favorite arguing partner, and we have kind of like a Statler and Waldorf thing going on between them, right? 2 kind of grumpy, well, they're not both grumpy old men, but we have 2 grumpy old hermits, and one of them is playing off of the other. Statler and Waldorf, if you don't know, those are the Muppets of the old men who would sit up in the balcony during the Muppet Show and make puns and jokes. So we have kind of a Statler and Waldorf here of the group. And so his discovery is going to be a major driving force. Her discovery can also be a driving force, but it's way more internalized. Kaiser has an internalized, he has an internalized desire, right? He secretly believes that everyone is beneath him, but he sees that he's a ruler, right? He's a noble. He wants to fight and earn his way to the top so that everyone is beneath him, but he will treat these people well. Guido carries scars of the past, and he is going to shape at least one of the major foes or opponents that they're going to face in the course of the campaign. And then we have Salen, who's somewhat along for the ride. She provides sort of an environmental effect. And ultimately she wants to make the world a better place. Okay. Well, the world could be appropriate here, because if she is from this Northern Empire land, maybe she just doesn't want there to be a fight at all. You know, she's heard what she heard living on the outskirts in the north. Now she's come down and seen these people, has lived with them, maybe produced a child with one of them. Now she's fallen in with Guido and Kaiser, and she wants to go home and say, look, these are competent people. They're not to be subjected. They're not here to be exploited. Not that she carries any power or she's a part of a relevant faction, but she's having this coming of age, right? It's about time, young lady. You're 172 years old. Kandor feel loved it. 0 to 3 in a span of 10 minutes. I should just quit before I fall too far back. Oh. I wish I can give you some help or advice. Like, you know, we could like team up and do like a 2-headed giant format like in Magic. Not that I'd have a good deck, but it might be fun. Yep, sorry, King. It's 1d20, 2d20, and 1d100. Those are the 3 different dice that you can roll right now. I might add some more later if it becomes relevant in some way. There you go. Yeah, but isn't Lolth, like, Lolth is always just a little bit off. Jam Jam going into battle. Oh, no. Jam Jam falls in battle. Jam Jam is going into the plains, undeterred by the warm-up encounter. Stops on a 1. Oh, Jam Jam falls on your sword. Yeah, Jam Jam is wrecked. No one has ever died. You know what? It was probably a very nasty goblin. Yeah. Nasty goblin got to Jam Jam. Kandor soup. Dark Wolf. Alright. So, we have a couple details. I'm gonna... I can use her right now as a notepad. We have... an obvious BBEG is going to be the Warden from Guido's past. A behind-the-scenes BBEG? Well, we can determine that as we tell this tale. Kind of like plotting the dungeon, we have to ask ourselves, what is the journey we want our players to take? Where are we going to take them? We've already generated an entire region. Now let's go from here and take them around, have them visit places. Maybe they can solve the flooding problem. That's a task of them. If they want to build a reputation for themselves in the area, if they want to gather allies, if they want to, you know, under Kaiser's goal, he wants to try and bring unification to Kandor and have it be a major player in Mesotopia, where people are taking it seriously and not that they're these oppressive rulers like they might have been once before. Jam Jam. Loth is saying we can revive Jam Jam as Jam Jam X8. She's very insistent on the 8 part. Well, so Jam Jam, do you want to come back as a spider centaur, effectively? Only way that it could have gotten worse is by rolling advantage and getting 2 nat 1s. Oh, I don't think I've seen that yet, but let's not tempt fate, right? Well, I mean, still have fun and roll it. It'll happen at some point in time. Dark Wolf, thank you. I'll be here all night. Make sure to tip the waitstaff. Alright, Delcorin is offering a bounty. Pardon. Delcorin will give you 100 EXP if you roll double 1s. From his own personal stash, at that. Jam Jam asks for a res, please. A female half-orc paladin. Ooh, good combo. Half-orcs make some pretty good pallies. Hey, King, you got it. Look at that. King finally got your 2 numbers you wanted. I don't care who you are. That's funny. At Death's Kandor. Alright, so we need our level 1 adventure. Honestly, this campaign would probably be starting a little bit higher. Let's just go through the motions just to tell a tale. Alright, humor me in this case. Jam Jam, hey, look at that. Oh, there's some sugar for you, Jam Jam. You got 300. So, as a DM, we will speak through our PC's mouths a little bit. Kaiser wants to help the central part of Kandor fight off the flooding. After meeting up, the group will head there to investigate it. And this would really be, while investigation as a skill is a weak point of the party. This would be kind of like like they're leveling up after a social interaction right here. It's travel. You're setting the scene. You can plant some seeds along the way. Not necessarily like a Johnny Appleseed in that case, or sowing wild oats, kind of like what Salen was doing, just in reverse. But as a DM, you could describe the countryside. You could describe rumors that they hear along the way as they travel. And so, really, by level 3, we want them to have done something to then earn their archetype, and here they are. So in this case, we have this flooded area, right? So here's the city. The city itself may be experiencing some kind of flooding. The area is just kind of depressed. There's, mosquitoes that are the size of sturges, probably because they are sturges. Some nice low-level monsters that we can throw at our level 1 party. Maybe this has caused some other wildlife to awaken or even mutate a little bit. And we can introduce this weird locale, because this is a portal to another realm. In this case, then we can have a visitation into the floods, fighting monsters back, and saving some flooded locals. Their info will lead to the orchard with a mysterious, we'll call it a fairy circle in the center. Behind closed Kandors. Oh, alright, there we go. Mr. Plunder Loot, you rolled the 1d20. Congratulations, you still beat it, and there's your EXP from before, Plunder Loot. While I don't have a D10 plunder, if you wanted to roll a D10 for something in particular, you could always use percentile, right? Because that's a 10s and a 1s, so it's technically like 2D10 if you really wanted it to be. Or you can just do a 1D20 or a 2D20, and then, like cut in half and round down. Or I guess, wait, it'd be round up. 1 and 2 would be 1. Just as a 19 or 20 would be 10. So we have a physical encounter that happens here. Next up, the party goes through the portal into the Feywild. Here they will entreat with the Fey within and try to bargain for a remedy to the situation. They have the chance to learn some interesting info about the state of Kandor that they didn't know before. By the way, if any of you have suggestions about what you think the next step would be logical, or if you say, oh, let's add something to a layer, or oh, I think it'd actually be better pacing or storytelling if we rearranged it, I may be narrating and I'm coming up with concepts, but just as we're making a character, well, so too are we making the campaign together. Feel free to throw out ideas, even if you're 2 steps ahead, or you say, oh, by 10 I think they should do something. I'm perfectly fine with that. A knock at the Kandor. They have the chance to learn something interesting about the state of Kandor if they didn't know before. A fight, fights are almost always evident, but this is more of the mysterious encounter. Right? They have to deal with Fae. Maybe after going through the portal, we do run a brief combat of some kind that's relevant, that shows that they're not in Kansas anymore, the power, the mystery, something along those lines. If we want to give them some sort of a MacGuffin for the story, we could do so, or even if it's just a key to stopping the flooding here, then we can... maybe the Fae don't want to leave the Feywild, but from a successful negotiation, right? Let's look at our strengths. Persuasion. Boom. We're playing to a strength here. We are... the Fae will give them some kind of a remedy, and it'll be up to them to set it up. Now, there's a great resolution in this. Maybe it's easy. Maybe they just have to take a bunch of dust of dryness, or, to soak everything up. Pardon. Dust of dryness is actually very useful, if you don't know what that item is. But that could be fun. Think what a bunch of fairies would do if the PCs made a bunch of balls filled with, 100 gallons of water each, right? All the Fae would just send them out with like a bunch of dust of dryness. They just scatter this everywhere. Don't worry, we'll pick up the remains. Clark says, I hate this game so much. All RNG since the last expansion. Oh, well, you know what, Clark? If you're not having fun, man, set it down. It's not worth the aggravation. All right. So in this portion, and every portion, is it 1 session? Is it 3 sessions? Is it somehow 5 sessions? Well, until your players meet your goal, that's really going to be up to you and them. But in level 4 here, so they take the catalyst for a Fey dryness spell and travel through the groves, setting the runes and whatnot. In this part, we get a hint of the BBEG by perhaps having to hide from an Imperial air patrol that passes overhead. We can narrate as war is escalating that seeing these Imperial ships is becoming... It used to be rare a couple years ago. Now it's upgraded to uncommon. And maybe we plant a clue that this is the blue ship. And Guido recognizes that ship because that ship was parked at the POW camp that he was a part of so many years ago. And this is going to be a good way for us to then switch gears and go from there while we've resolved something. Paleotronics, hey, just joined. Could I recap what we're doing? Sure, no problem, Paleo. Sorry if that comment was up for a second. All right, in brief, the channel takes random character generation and other aspects, and we build fully fleshed out characters from them. We give them backstories, we give them art, we give them personalities. They're not just numbers. Their personality and story come first. We weave all of those together along with maps that we make throughout the course, as well as things like dungeons that we make over the course of the week. And then I'll throw in like a DM advice or a PC advice. Well, fast forward, now we're at Saturday from Tuesday. We have 5 characters, we have a map, and we've just gotten the party together and made a party worksheet that highlights their strengths and weaknesses, the things that they're good at. This was a we as PCs discussion. So we made a party character sheet with its own characters, and with its own characters, with its own personality, with its own story and motivation to it. And then we've took off our PC hats, and we've put on a DM cap. Our party's gotten together, and we as DMs have now made a map of the region, and we've made a dungeon, and we know that we want to go places with this. So our PCs hand us not only their character sheets to review, but they give us this party character sheet. We've been able to break things down. Everything is nice and coded. So now we're making a list of milestones to take them through an entire campaign, level 1 to 20. Each of the milestones are going to be a set of guidelines that we want our PCs to be able to hit before they hit that next level. And so a milestone might be 1 session or 3 or 4 or whatever. And this is what you're doing now. So Paleo, this is the redux of an entire week of broadcasting and the work that we've done together. Which, by the way, hey, you're just joining in. You can still have input on what we're planning out. This isn't just a lecture from me. This is input from all of you. This is what we're creating together on Twitch. We're all sitting around a game table in a game store together, discussing D&D, role-playing, sharing experiences. And along the way, if you have questions on something, if you want to say, oh, insight, like what does that do if you didn't know? Or, what do saves do? Or what's a milestone? Or something along those lines. Feel free to ask in chat, and I'll happily address that as soon as I can. This is interactive. This is a construction of all of us, and something then that I'm going to turn around, and I've been shoring everything up to make it all available on Discord too. Yeah, no problem, Paleo. I hope you enjoy it. If you know what, if you just want to sit back and listen and lurk, you're welcome to do so as well. But active voices, passive voices, you're welcome to stay and contribute to what we have going on here. Actually, it does remind me, as a heads up, if you did want to join us on Discord, for anyone who is out there lurking and you're not a part of it, come and join us there too, as we have conversations and other fun stuff that we do while not broadcasting. Alright, so Kaiser's starting out. He wants to help the central part of Kandor fight off the flooding. This is to prove his leadership skills, and this is to ingratiate himself to people. After meeting up, the group will head there to investigate it. We're going to have social interactions, visitation. Okay, I don't need to necessarily recap that unless you all need me to for a specific reason. Alright, so when they go through the portal and then they have their chance to talk to the Feywild and come to a solution, all of them will have hit their archetype by now. Or whatever it's called in the PHB. Some are archetypes, others are different builds. You get what I'm saying. We generally refer to them as archetypes. Now, in order to earn this stat bump or feat, we need to include something else. We're adding a little bit of fallout from the Fey encounter, but now they're coming back into the world just with this power. And by doing so, they've already battled, and we could have a couple battles against mosquitoes, sturges, things like that. But now they get to go around, and they're already known, right? They're revisiting the place they have already traveled through. The farmers they help save will greet them, maybe give them more information, maybe shelter, or by the time they come out of the Feywild, maybe there's some time dilation. Something along those lines, and maybe some time has passed. Well, they're going to be spreading goodwill and this and something else that we're setting up for later. But we get a hint of the BBEG for the campaign because of a chance encounter, right? There's this blue airship or whatever that passes over, or maybe it's not an airship. You don't want those in your campaign? Pfft, get rid of them. Who flies airships anyway, right, Rowmonger? And maybe it's them like passing through as an armed guard, or maybe they even have like a flag of a messenger. So legally they shouldn't be attacked. And Guido would want to run and hide because he has a fear of what this banner means and carries. But because Kaiser is honorable, he wouldn't allow an attack because they're here under terms of talking like of parley. However you want to do it. Do you want to set your world as having a level of magicalness or tech or magitech as airships, or do you want to have it be land-bound and it's a caravan? And they could interact with this group if they wanted, but maybe they'll be shy. That's up to you and your discretion and how you want to run this adventure. Or even the party, right? If we're building a campaign like we're building a dungeon, there's sometimes are multiple paths, or we can give our DMs, as DMs, options to run in order to flavor things, one way or the other. Feywild still struggling working that into a convincing campaign. On your own, or what's the struggle that you're facing, Derek? The party enacts the area spell. The floods begin to recede, and the fairies come out to collect the dust balls. Honestly, lack of interest, but it tends to be a drive for players. Well, I know you like horror. The Feywild can still be a place of horror, just it's a little bit different than the Shadowfell, because those two places are really, they're closely linked to each other. But the Feywild is it's a savage place. There's challenge. It's also a place of beauty and wonder, but it's also not a paradise. The Fey that live there will treat you as an outsider and not necessarily be nice to you, or you'll have tricks played on you in there, or you're just going to have a spider that, you have a giant wolf spider in the PHB, but we're talking a giant wolf spider that will just come and, want to eat you up. So it can still be a threatening place, a place of mystery, things like that. A campaign entirely in the Feywild? It won't be entirely. They're going to visit it and maybe revisit it later. No, it doesn't even have to be a railroad, Derek. Not at all. Yeah, the horror of growth, fungus, giant monstrosities, mutations. Yeah, and you get like weird crossbreeds going on. You can even say things like if you cast a cure spell in the Feywild, not that 5th edition's necessarily doing the positive energy thing, but it might be possible to overcure, and I don't know, someone grows a third arm because they're topped off with a powerful cure spell, and their body didn't know what to do with all the healing or whatever, and they just get a little baby arm coming out of their chest. Yeah, parasites and growths. You can do a lot of stuff. Yeah, myconids, plunder loot. Unseelie are creepy, almost evil, if not outright. Yeah, Dorgrim. While they're not children, the Fae kind of have that childlike quality. And I'll tell you, children can be downright evil or creepy. In fact, children often make great villains because their innocence makes their evil so much more pure and distilled. Because they don't know better, so they'll just pursue something that interests them. You lend that with a playful childlike fairy or a fae of some kind, a dryad, that doesn't know these people from the outside, and they're attaching their own cultures and norms to them. And suddenly, the dryad just wants to play Delcorin, but you get your arm ripped off. She just wanted to play. Unseelie fae are fun. Yeah, they're also vicious little people. Yeah, third arm, oopsie doodle. Make it look like a nice scenic break from the horror, then surprise, bloody scenes. Yeah, Dark Wolf. The Feywild has plenty of conflict and horror to it. And then we get DBS Tournament of Power, where the whole existences get deleted. What's Dragon Balls? Okay, got it. Give Dryad a Michael Myers vibe. Yeah, maybe, so Plunder Loot, maybe they hop from tree to tree and just kind of go like... Right? That slow stalking. Any vine could just wrap around and pull you down. Derek, I think it's because I don't understand the Feywild or any of that. Even though I read it, it just doesn't stick. Well, Derek, consider the Feywild to be a challenge then. The not the Underdark, the Shadowfell. The Shadowfell is easy. Horror is easy because you expect it there. Where do you find horror in nature? Well, if you expect someone to be evil, you're kind of braced for it. You know, yet you have the pure innocence of the fairies and the other fae, who, you know, they just wanted to play with you and lead you by the hand, but oops, a fingernail came out. Or, you know, they play tricks on you by embarrassing you, or you know, like humiliating you, right? If they run around in this paradise and they don't need or want clothes, well, neither should you. So whoop, and then we're introducing, you know, fears and embarrassment, because don't underestimate things like shame or embarrassment. This is another primal feeling, as is fear, as is feelings of sexuality. You know, I'll keep it PG-13 with what we're discussing, but you know, we're going back to basics. Maybe, right, it's also a place of illusion. Maybe you end up walking in circles and you realize, am I trapped? Is the water real? Oh, I can't drink water. Am I going to die? Am I going to starve? There's berries everywhere, but I can't eat a single one. What cruel torture is this? Meanwhile, you have the little fairies going around, you know, it's a grand old time for them, right? They have this pure innocence that it may not even be evil or cruel. They just think it's a joke, because what do they know? Right? They have this childlike innocence. But then you do have things like the Unseelie in the Unseelie court, let alone the Seelie court. And they are actually, you know, they're brutal. They'll vivisect you. Like, they'll keep you alive. They don't want to kill you, but they're curious about you, so they'll just, you know, pin you to a tree. And if you want a more horror-filled. Now, if you want a more PG, you know, whatever, you're a Disney princess in a magical forest. Trees are a mile tall, beautiful canopy. You know, even at night, things are still kind of brightly lit, and there's, you know, funguses that glow, and there's fireflies everywhere, and the water is sweet and pure. It's up to you and what you want to run, but you can still incorporate either of those in the Feywild. The hanging trees. Yeah, you'll find a lot of hanging trees in the Feywild for sure. Dorgrim says, I'll link a YouTube vid I found about the FR Shadowfell and Feywild. Yeah, there's a Twitch and YouTube channel that I just created, Dorgrim, if you want to plop it down in there. Was it, is that Jord or Yordfen? Mighty Glue Sticks video, right? Oh, never mind, thanks. Okay. What makes this one tick? How does it work? No problem, Derek. And you know what? I've done stuff in the Feywild, and I'll be happy to help you out planning on that. Another thing that you can introduce, especially with places like the Feywild or the Shadowfell, Derek, if you want to emphasize life or death, in this case we're emphasizing life in the Shadowfell, you can give an environmental effect to your version of the Feywild where maybe time passes more quickly, or rather, time doesn't pass more quickly, but the body, maybe wounds will heal more naturally. You're giving a positive, right? Maybe there's a every 10 minutes is you're effectively, if you're injured, your body will heal. But at the same time, because your body is working so hard, regenerating and going through its cycles, right? You probably have to drink a lot more water because your body's processing your cells. That means that the more time you spend in the Feywild, you're probably burning life off of the end of your life. Because now to our scientific knowledge, right, you have your DNA strands, and those have telomeres, which are sort of unnecessary genetic data. Every time your DNA replicates, you lose a bit of the unnecessary tail. And when you get older, all of a sudden your cell's genes are actually getting shortened by the replication process because you've run out of telomeres. And so that's why you have, your skin will thin, or you'll have organ failure, or your eyesight gets bad, because your body's not able to continually replicate the cells as they once did, because they've gone through an entire lifetime of replication and shortening their telomeres. And so in the Feywild, your body might be super healthy. It might actually be very difficult to be injured or even die in the Feywild. And you might even be brought back to life, and I just don't mean as an undead, but like you're brought back to life after a day or something, whatever arbitrary number. But your body is burning, like it is recycling its cells so quickly because you're in this place of, it is super natural. It's super healy, and you're paying the price, right? Oh, we all have eternal youth, but you know what? As soon as you leave the Feywild and time catches up to you, you might have spent a month in the Feywild adventuring, but when you come out, you have, maybe you have like a couple years worth of aging. There's some sort of time dilation physically, or even you just want to dilate time some way. Time passes more quickly in the Feywild, or something along those lines. And now you're not adding a direct horror effect, but you're adding something otherworldly. You're adding a sense of mortality to the Feywild, which is supposed to be a place of bounty and beauty. Now, again, if you want a Disney Princess Feywild, there's nothing wrong with that. You can run it as, it's a Bob Ross forest and everything is happy, and it's just that the bunnies are bigger and cuddlier. Bobika says, the problem I have with the Feywild is if you put enough dream logic and illusion in the story, you end up taking control. Yeah, you do need to watch illusions and tricks. Your players will get sick and tired after a while. So it may seem a little contrived, but you do have to watch that as a DM. That is good advice. That was a lesson that I learned the hard way a little bit ago here. Jordan, the PH is silent every episode. Paleo says, scariest episode of classic Star Trek was the end, the children shall lead. Along the same lines of the freakishness of corrupted children. Hey, oh shoot. I think I know the episode you're talking about. I did that personal challenge where you watch all the Star Trek episodes in chronological order. So Enterprise, Original Series, Next Gen, Deep Space Nine, then Voyager. Though I haven't watched the new one because I'm not into it being locked behind a paywall. Anyway, that's a whole other discussion. Clark says, I've always thought the Feywild is kind of like the Twilight Zone. It kind of is. Plunder loot, they protect the DNA and they shorten, you get genetic deformities over oxidation and allowing for disease to proliferate. Fun fact, some research has shown that meditation slows down the degradation of telomeres. Well, yeah, because you're that says Palo, because you're kind of like slowing yourself down, enhance your calm. Murder, death, kill, murder, death, kill. Derek says, as I understand it, you're going to lose who you are and it tends to lure you in and makes you want to, yeah. You can almost, you know what, Derek? If you played a lot of World of Darkness, think of it kind of like Changeling. That might be a good way if you wanted to interpret it along those lines. If you still wanted to add a hint of darkness or mortality to the Feywild. Delcorn says, I go FK for a few minutes and come back to how Time Lord regeneration works. Plunder says, yeah, you want to stay here, Derek. I was also trying to expand past horror. Though not trying to give it up, it's trying to build more skills as a DM. Yeah, good personal challenge, Derek. Legend 1985 is a good visual example of how the Feywild... Oh, Dorgrim, yeah. That is very true. And yeah, Changeling would be a good example. Phase over... Well, they're over your head because they're they just fly over it, those little guys. So, we've had an encounter with the Mysterious, we've had an encounter with the Feywild, and things are fine. Look, all the little fairies came out and they collected these little dust balls that we've left behind. Yay! And sure enough, we have saved the breadbasket of Kandor. The flooding is kind of receding, and all thanks to the Feywild, and hey, we're buddies. Hopefully, this will never come back to bite us in the rear end. Any of you who knows what Dust of Dryness does, don't spoil it for those who don't, as you're probably already imagining something. Alright. So, boom, yay, they earned an ASI. This is a milestone. Congrats, guys. So now we've had Kaiser here has come in, and this was kind of a Kaiser arc, right? It focused around him. He wants to negotiate. He has a high charisma. He can negotiate with the Fae. He has a high strength. He can impress them. He has, this constitution he can endure. Watch out for drinking Fae wine, by the way. You think dwarven beer is strong? Ooh, lordy. Anyway, so we kind of have a a Kaiser arc, right? Where the spotlight, it can still bounce between players, rolling in combat situations or skills, but generally this arc is favoring Kaiser. And so we can highlight that. So now what do we do, right? This has occurred. We've made contact. Kaiser is still, like, his immediate goal is set. He's now a more known person, as are the other members of the party. Well, let's look at the other bonds. Let's look at the flaws. Let's look at what everything has happened. We've already hinted that Guido's fear of this warden from his POW camp, the BBG, is out there. And this might end up leading to a conflict of some type. Do we want to use that right now, or do we want to, maybe lay off that a little bit and pursue something else? Because this could be a good example that the information they get from the Fae will drop a clue into some kind of a personal revelation for Duskin. The Mountain Temple? What Mountain Temple? Aha, I'm glad that you asked that. It's a very specific question. I'm sorry, that's the broad Mesotopia region. Remember, as we made... This is way too... There we go. As we made the map, we filled in the different regions with points of interest. Well, it turns out that there is an important or a library or archive that is in the north, so we can take her here because her motivation is knowledge. There's also, over in the Eastern Mountains, there is a Grand Temple, and she might just want to visit that to get a little bit of knowledge. Now, she's a knowledge cleric. A temple could work, or a library, or in this case, a Grand Temple of some kind can also work. Where do we as a DM, as we're plotting milestones, want our party to tend to go to? Or you know what? As Derek was asking, is this going to railroad? Maybe it doesn't even have to railroad. If all you're looking for are events to happen, you can move events rather easily between locales. And you could argue this is the illusion of choice to your party members, but you're still letting them make the authentic decision of, hey, there's a Grand Temple in the mountains, and there's also an important library or archive in the Northern Expanse. And that's located right here by the lake. We're the DM. Does it really matter to us? Maybe. Though, again, you want to allow for some, for at least some agency for your players to choose where they go. Seeks knowledge, and so she's going to say, you know what, we've been wallowing around this enough. We can make it through the swamp, and we'll go up in a mountain and dry off. Besides, I'm a dragonborn. The dragons lived in the mountains. These are my people. Let's go there, because this is going to give us a little bit more information. Because we can even leave a hint of some kind, maybe a certain banner, or a certain member of the entourage that the BBG was traveling with, kind of sparked the interest of our knowledge cleric. But she needs to be able to research more, and she feels very comfortable doing so. So again, DM, you say, oh yeah, there's two places here you could do that rather conveniently. And this is going to benefit everyone involved. It's going to help Guido feel better. Kaiser's going to get to move to a new location and spread his authority and his deeds. Tundle is, he's along with Duskin because these two share, kind of a buddy comedy, though it can get intense at times situation. And Salen wants to make the world a better place. She's fine going along for the ride right now. Some fun things, too, like prismatic dragons are possible. Bobicus says, have you ever seen Dr. Horrible when Captain Hammer feels pain for the first time? Derek, should I turn in my nerd card? Bobicus. Oh, yeah, Bobicus did play VTM with you guys. Ah, nice. Yeah, I would imagine Derek would run a solid political game. Hey, although I'll tell you what, Bobicus, it seems like you like that kind of thing, and like the details may change between D&D and VTM, but I think you could really get into that level with Derek. You say that now, being a primogen, or primogen, however you want to pronounce it. It's all good, Bobicus. I appreciate you trying. Sorry it wasn't in your element, but I'm glad you had a shot, or you gave it a shot. Hard to compress all the politics into a short vertical slice. I hope it was successful. I got more comfortable as the game went on. You did a real good job of making talking to NPCs feel very dangerous. Makes you play better not being inside your normal element. Yeah, that sense of danger, you're more observant, you want to ask questions. Yeah. Imagine a world where there are no negative consequences, you can do whatever you want, and there are strange squishy creatures that make such interesting sounds when you play pranks. Yep, that is exactly right, Bobicus. Very good exchange. Yep. Yep, there can be politics in the Sealy court, but that's its whole other dimension. That is a whole other dimension. Everything's a game. Tra-la-la-la-la. The fairies might come up to you and say, now you see me? Now you don't, and take your eyeballs. No, they'll put them back in your head, but you gotta find the fairy first, maybe through a game of hide and seek. Alright, so Duskin is inspired by the face, seeks knowledge in the mountain temple to learn more about a symbol found on the BBEG's entourage. Travel to a new area. And so this is going to be another travel and clues section. Again, how many games does it take to get to this point? I don't know. How much time do you have? Like Rowmonger, if he's still in here, Rowmonger has like 8 12-hour blowout sessions, and I've done that before too. And you really get into it. You can earn a milestone a session in that case, depending on how efficient things are or how much combat there is. Oh. I scrolled over to, by the way, here's my little Lalafell halfling going against a BBG, speaking of them. Sealy Court would probably be the only thing I can maybe do well. I was actually surprised how well Cyrus got attached to... I'm not familiar with those names. So now we have this mountain temple, and there could be some kind of strife going on. In fact, if we look at our notes, that's the regional. I don't need the regional one open. We have the Eastern Mountains. It is ruled by a feared tyrant. There is a grand temple. It is known for its gambling, which, by the way, we have one gambler for sure. Her, Ceylin, she loves gambling. And there's currently a war going on between rival thieves guilds. There's also a weird locale, and there's a wishing well, but we've kind of taken the wishing well off the table because it's on an island, and we're going up here. It's just in the region. However, if we look at the current calamity about what's happening, this is a roadmap for us to create some kind of resolution. This is a simple sentence, but we can take this deep. This is indicating that there's at least 2 different thieves guilds that are operating in town. This is a very good chance for a moral interaction. Each of the thieves guilds, I'm sure, would be happy to recruit people of name or note or wealth or power to their side. Do you want to investigate and help one over the other? Are you taking a moral high ground and saying, no, these are thieves guilds. We're going to do it on our own. But we can learn of the thieves guild wars. And also, one way or another, this can lead to several physical encounters. You know, stealthy assassins guilds, maybe you want to count that as a thieves guild, but they could be caught up in gang warfare. Maybe one of the thieves guilds has manipulated the entrance to the temple for only members of its club. Right? Do you have the card? Are you one of us? Can you get in? Or the temple has completely eschewed this. They've closed their gates to prevent all the thieving and the lies and manipulation from going on, because they're a bunch of religious followers or scholars or a mix of both. They don't want to have anything to do with it. And so until the Thieves Guild War ends, access can't be granted. Hey, DM, we're a DM. That's a great prompt for our players to step up and find a way to at least put a temporary truce. And you know what? Maybe this was because something that belonged to one Thieves Guild, which wasn't supposed to be a traveling trophy, because I'm sure they try and challenge each other to steal from each other all the time. Maybe something important or someone important was taken or kidnapped. Maybe someone was killed and you need to find the clues. We have a moral interaction and possibly investigation. From that, when they achieve, okay, here's our goal. Goal equals X. This is now the pursuit of the goal. This is definitely going to be a physical encounter of some kind. This is going to be them needing to go into a murderer's hideout, and you could run it like a dungeon. This is going to be them actually needing, because look, this territory is big and wild. And also, if they're heading here to the city below the temple, that's not even the capital city of this region of Kandor. That might even be more travel. Coming down here, resolving things, and coming back to the factions that are here guarding the gate. Closet Land, thank you so much for following. I appreciate it. I'm glad that you're on board, and if you have any questions or comments as we're building this campaign together, if you have 2 coppers you want to throw in at idea-wise, questions to ask, etc., please feel free to do so. But thank you so much for coming along the journey. What do we have? Sorry, I got on a soapbox a bit. Bobby says, I was convinced I was going to have to choose between the good of Clan Tremere and continuing to live. In VTMs, that's not necessarily an uncommon corner to be in. Ink, a paranoid Malkavian who's very timid and kind, but no one wants to set her off. Yeah. Intrigue and politics in the Thieves Guild. Gimme, gimme, gimme. Hey, yeah, the temple could be the reason that the conflict happened. That's true. You might actually want to visit the antagonist. You two are having an awesome exchange. I don't need to even offer any commentary. So we have pursuit of the goal, a physical encounter. In fact, here, we'll even put this up here. This leads to several physical encounters. Temple at fault? Good challenge if that's the destination. Pursuit of the goal. Now remember, this part of the story is meant to highlight Duskin's skills maybe a little bit more, right? It's her academic pursuit. She wants to try and figure things out. You know, she's tied for the highest intelligence. She's very wise and perceptive. She has a good charisma. She's going to be good at operating in a place like this. And also, let's look at her skills, right? Duskin for religion, medicine, persuasion, even. She has a couple others here. Oh, Arcana. Pursuit of the goal. This would be a good physical encounter. Possible travel. Ability to see the BBEG caravan again, showing how much it's getting around. We don't want to put the the ultimate BBG out there just yet. We're dangling the carrot a little bit, but they have other things they have to do right now. Overcome the temple and or Thieves Guild obstacles in order to reach the key to enter. That's kind of a generic term, you know, the key to enter, you know, to get to their goal. And so now we have 8, and 8 could very well be hey, Shedzar! Yeah, I got reported for dangling my carrot on stream. I violated the new TOS. How lewd. How lewd of me. That's the last 5 bits I'll ever see. But thank you, Shadzar. I appreciate that. So now here, they attain entrance to the temple, put to a test. And you know what? If it's a test for Smarties, guess who can lead this test? Duskin can. But of course, there's others who want to go with her, and so they need to make sure that they're meeting some kind of intellectual, religious, physical, moral purity, something along those lines. Again, as DMs, if we're setting the goal that they have to pass a test, we can keep it open-ended based on what the players have shown interest in or what the characters are growing to be better at doing. Now, when I say that this is a great time for traps and riddles, or you know, mysteries of some kind, it's not necessarily mysterious. I should probably put like a supernatural encounter, but this would be like a mystery. It's like a Gordian knot that they're going to have to solve in order to prove, okay, you are actually worthy of learning what is in here. You can customize this to the party. We have a pre-built party here, and that's fine. And we're basing this off of the party that we're going to run for as a DM. Though, how do you want to skew this? Do you want to run 5 different trials for 5 different people? Because Kaiser, or even like team up, Kaiser and Guido will step up and say, we'll take the physical challenge. Tundle and Duskin will say, we'll step up to the intellectual challenge. Ceylin will... Maybe she's just happy to, I don't know, go about doing something else. Like, you guys got this. I'm going to go do a thing on the outside. You know, we can't necessarily predict, even as we're making milestones as a DM, what our PCs will do. And maybe she takes another path. If she has a high wisdom and dex, she might be good at finding and, you know, disabling traps. Or... you know, you can play to her strengths and include a weakness of some kind. All right, Clark. Yeah, it's getting late in your... Oh, yeah, I know. Hearthstone was really getting to you, man. Sleep well. Thanks for coming out again and spending some time. I hope you do better in Hearthstone later. But anyway, yeah, thanks again, Clark. What is best in on life? Must be out of salsa that seems to have been replaced with gum. What are you talking about, Shadzar? Derek says, oh yeah, best of luck. I wonder if a fairy coming into the material plane like a human coming out of the Shadowfell. It might be a little disorienting. Oh, he answers, I don't know, he gets slimed. Yeah, a physical challenge. Overcome the test. Gain access to the histories. this can reveal information about the past of Kandor and or its early relationship with the looming Imperial invasion. If any of you are just joining us, there's a little bit of backstory that you can see in VODs or going over to YouTube. You can also just ask questions like, Imperial invasion, where did this come from? And I'll be happy to address that. As a group, we've been building a story, we've been building campaigns and characters that are developing a region of this fantasy world that we've been making. Well, because everything gets so dull and dreary and full of death. Not to mention they would see the dark for the first time. Yeah, like true darkness, right? That would be very scary. Like, conversely, to a fairy, that could be very terrifying. A scale, a saw, and a question. What is the value of knowledge? That would be a that would be a good riddle or a mystery to unravel. Like they brush up against a tree and doesn't wave or move. Yeah, like it's a dead thing. What is this dark time? Why is the sun not shining? Man, Shadzar is putting in work. Look at that. Oh. Now, we also need a link in some kind of in this milestone to take them to the next part. And here we can have, if they're getting this early relationship to the looming Imperial invasion, this could very well be playing into Tundle's vision of what he's been seeing as a hermit, his discovery. He might have gotten a hint, but now they have a clue. And 2 points can make an arrow to help point in a direction. But it's better if you have 3. And so, Tundle, having help with Duskin in order to bring light on this revelation, needs to go to a certain place, and we can have that place be historical clue in the floating moat with the tower. Aha! As this plays into Tundle's background. So this part is favoring Duskin. So they're over here and need to make it back over here. Well, wouldn't you know, we're very good DMs and time has passed and a lot more water has receded and everyone recognizes them. Because now, not only did they help the flooded area, they've also helped the area and helped to settle. I mean, will a war between thieves guilds ever really truly end? Maybe not. But they could have done some kind of a King Solomon. They could have done some, situation. They could have had an enlightenment, or they could have just put them down if they want to go the physical route. So now they're known here, and they're coming here. Well, people here have heard what they did here, as well as what they did here in the beginning. They're traveling through again, and wouldn't you know, hey, their reputation's growing, as is their power level. Things are making sense. And now we have Kaiser, who's still absolutely happy. We have Duskin, who's going to get to learn even more. And Tundle is absolutely invested in the location that they're going to. Guido might have a kind of a morbid curiosity, right? He wants to be strong in the face of his enemy, and he's seen his enemy twice now. This could lead to that strength, to maybe to be able to put him down again. And then we have Salen, who's still along for the ride, and we'll work her in also because she has an addiction to gambling, and this place, as we randomly determined, is known for gambling. Yay! Now, she's not a side character or a bit character. She's still contributing. Her skills, she has a great skill set, but she hasn't found her thing yet. She's still around. She's still out there. See how this is coming together? Isn't this great? Lots of good energy. And then I'm falling behind. Let's see what was going on here. Okay, so Shadzar won a lot of experience and is going for an epic. 19 or greater, you have disadvantage. Shadzar rolls 14 and 9. Oh no, Shadzar falls to the aboleth. Ugh, your brain is controlled by it. How'd you manage to live that long? Yeah, Shadzar has the powers of a fearsome wizard. Derek goes into the plains. You attack with disadvantage. Stops on a 3. Oh, unfortunately, the Kobold Mage zaps Derek. Shadzar is a vampire were-rat mimic. I can't be killed by these mortals. Yeah, and Derek can't win. You have disadvantage. Roll again. Oh yeah, that's right. You have disadvantage. Roll again and see if you get lower. You could fall on your sword, right? 1 and 8. You did get lower. Good rolling, says Bobicus. Derek goes to bang his head into a brick wall. See? Look, Derek, Bobicus is getting into that morbid spirit. I knew you could do worse. Oh, you all are fun. All right, so now we have Tundle. The spotlight of the campaign is going over to Tundle, and looking at his character sheet as we've been submitted as a DM. I mean, we can look at his character sheet if we want, but we can see that where are his skills? Wisdom, insight, okay. Wisdom, medicine. Oh, we could maybe use something along these lines. Then we also have, where are you? Intelligence, history. Yeah, because we have both our smarties on the case. And finally, we have... Where's my other one? Oh, heck. Tundle, give me your character sheet. Medicine, insight, history, and religion. Okay. Passing through... The flood has left a disease lingering in the area. Challenge here is to help reduce the disease in some way while passing through. As a reward, they will learn that further west, there have been some strange, watery things happening at the central lake. And you can almost run this as a skill challenge, right? As a DM, you've already narrated traveling through this place. They already have a reputation. And they've already fought monsters here. If you want to further reinforce that, you can take them on that micromanagement level. However, I would suggest in this part, you include a skill challenge. You're not swinging swords, you're not punching stuff. Maybe you allow for spells or something. But this is now a party use in order to navigate the waters, uncover the mystery of the disease, and go from there. And it's a great way to break up... Pardon. The tea wants to make me burp here, but it's not coming up. I should have had a root beer instead. That way you know what's happening. But this way, you can include a skill challenge. Not so much micromanaging, but in order to get back through this place, if they didn't want to go this route, which maybe they did. I don't know. You could still make this a skill challenge too. But either way, it's another way you can run your game. It keeps things mixed up. You can still include combat and mysteries and riddles, but they're doing it through a set of skills that is going to help reduce the travel time in order to get to the next mystery. And as they're telling the tale and as they're rolling their skills, you're revealing more and more information to them. And also because they're accomplishing things physically and mentally, maybe even spiritually, yeah, they're earning experience. They're getting stronger. They're leveling up. So we could even say that this is a skill challenge. Could even be a social interaction. Arrive at the major city and investigate the clue they learned along the way. Here they'll get local flavor and learn more about the area and as much as can be learned about the rock moat. Regular info is ubiquitous. This floating tower that makes water for the region has a suspiciously large amount of misinformation or a complete lack. This could be more of a social time, right? We could even have it be a mysterious encounter. And we can have it be a mysterious encounter because as we look at what we rolled up for this region, look, interior lake, floating tower. Well, it so happens that there's some kind of a new cult that's seeking converts, and while it's ruled by a feared tyrant, this area is rumored to have a river ferry guided by a skeletal captain. Ooh, all right. All right, we can work with this, right? Right? Locate the skeletal captain for more supernatural info. Yay, you did that and you level up. Find the captain. It will inform them of the happenings above. Can promise to take them there for a price. They must go into the region and collect the toll, whatever we want that to be. Information, X amount of money, I don't know, something weird, something arcane. If we want to challenge our players, right? Because we have someone who knows Arcana, but we don't have an arcane caster in the party. We have a natural caster with our ranger, and we have a divine caster with Duskin. Tundle is a way of the four elements, and yes, he's a caster, but not in the same way. And so if we're getting to a point where we maybe want to pinch the where we want to pinch the party and really challenge them, maybe they have to we take on one of their weak skills, right? No one is proficient in investigation or stealth, and if we look down here to our weaknesses, no one speaks Gnomish, no one speaks Infernal, no one practices arcane magic. Oh, what do we have? Is it wrong that nothing in the MASH theme song? Yeah. It's like Derek just went on a date with Cassie. I'm sorry. It's been a while since I watched MASH. I'm presuming Cassie is a MASH reference also. You're trying to think of a way to make Dream Logic fun. So second, you said Cassidy, which is Nosferatu's Smartmouth detective in Detroit. Oh, jeez. Yeah, so they're referencing an older VTM thing. They're referencing a thing where something happened in a place by someone. What is the blight ye have brought unto these lands? Yeah, that's a good blight, Bob, because whatever we named the Nos earlier today. Ah, you just died a little inside, and now Derek's going on the Constitutional to try and wake him up inside, bid his blood to run. You need an 8 or greater, 15 and 14. Oh, Derek smashes the Knoll pack for 75. There we go. Evolve into babies, kids. Yeah, they don't die, they multiply. I remember that cartoon. Whatever the players try and do in the Feywild, they somehow succeed, but with complications. And Derek is saying, call. Your character is hungry. I find food. You come upon a sumptuous banquet and are cheerily invited to dine with the fairies there. I join them. It's the most delicious food you've ever tasted because hunger is the most delicious sauce, and every morsel is soaked in it. You come away from the banquet ravenous with hunger. I want to steal the Archfey's crown. You succeed, but the moment you put it on your head, your feet grow into the earth and arms branch to the sky. You cannot move or act. Yeah, that's fun stuff. In the words of the Major, I finally hit something. So they're going to find the captain, and so that's the mysterious encounter. They'll inform them of things happening above. Can promise to take them there for a price. They must go into the region and collect the toll. So here, if we want to spice it up with some battle, we can have a physical interaction. This could be even this. If you want to carry a consequence forward, maybe this branch of the Thieves Guild out the other way has whatever's needed. And they have to account for either joining with them, not joining with them, like being neutral, or like joining the other guys, joining them, or being neutral. Or slaughtering their way through, regardless of Thieves Guild affiliation. But we can still put some physical interaction. And this can take them into, killing some beasties, maybe hunting down a rare monster in the area. Because it's kind of an esoteric toll instead of, I need 2 copper that have been, or it could even be a blend of both. He needs 2 copper. Here's 2 copper. No, the copper for me to pay the toll have to be covered in, I don't know, something. Eyeball juice of a newt, or then they have to go find a newt. Or you as a DM, again, you're making the goal to do this. You can tailor ahead of time or in real time to your players, and your players aren't going to know the difference unless they stole this copy of your outline. Hopefully they didn't. Shame on them. So let's go to the region and collect the toll. This is a physical interaction. Now, this section, we should leave the BB... Like, by this point, they've seen it twice. You've brought it up twice as a DM. Your characters are going to be on the lookout. Don't have the BBEG caravan show up just yet. It's going to distract from the dungeon and everything you want to do here. Plus, we got to get them into like a sense of security or a lull. Or we need to give it a chance to, that it went in one ear, it did a swirl, and now it's going to fall out the other ear of your players. If you're playing once a week, you get a lot of drainage. Now, finally, in order to earn this ASI, they go through the fountain dungeon. And if any of you are new in here, we made a custom dungeon last episode. Which, here's a sketch. Here's the setup. Well, there's a little ground setup. Pardon. They come up, here's the setup, and then the dungeon's inside this tower. They go through the fountain dungeon, discover the Sahagin cult, and ultimately end up with information about the history of the place, but also another clue for Tundle's discovery. They may or may not also be teleported to the wishing well, which can have a little bit of fun because maybe this wishing well is something that they wanted to see, but they're like, oh, it's all the way removed. Well, if you remember, if you were here for the dungeon episode, this looks suspiciously like the top of a mountain, and this would be a plug going down into a seaside mountain. And it just so happens that when we bring up the map of Kandor, there's a wishing well here, right? So you have a mountain in the sea that has like a flat, approachable plaza, and there's a plug going down, and because it's a wishing well. Aha! Well, we've discovered things, and now all of a sudden the party's down here. Now, if you do decide to teleport them out there as a DM, you may decide that the skeletal person will just return and bring them back to the city. That's your call. Do whatever you want in that case. But if we put them here, we need to be good boys and girls as DMs. We've kind of stripped away some of their agency and placed them, very literally on a very lonely island out in the middle of the sea. And what? Hey, why is no one else out here? This place is abandoned. Everyone rumors it's a wishing well, but it's not exactly a popular location. How are we going to get back? So we need to throw them a bone, right? We cast them out. They're going to feel, you know, kind of panicked. Oh, geez, where are we? What are we going to do? How are we going to get off here? You know, wink and a nudge. I'm your DM. Trust me, we're going to get through this. Yet we just finished, yay, a spotlight area. Because this kind of thing isn't necessarily where Tundle is going to shine. So if we come back here, right? Tundle is purple. That was his section. Now, who do we have in the party who is really good at survival, maybe perception, who can maybe, you know, talk out of a situation? I don't know. Who could it be? I don't know. Someone who just might be able to get him through something with her skills, her athleticism. Oh, wait. That's Salen. Well, she's been floating along, but she sure as heck has a use here. Bobicus, I start walking away, a lumberjack fells you, and limbs sprout from your trunk. Everything succeeds in the Feywild. Dream logic. But that doesn't mean, yeah. So it's a permanent wish with you know, pardon my French Canadian, with an a-hole, E-H hole, with an a-hole DM who takes things very literally with your wish spells. Or very logically, or both. When a player hands the conductor their ticket and climbs aboard, why do they then decide to jump off the train halfway down the railroad? Makes for a good action scene. All right. How do we survive out here? Also, this is a great recap moment. Did any of you see Avatar: The Last Airbender? Do you know Ember Isle? This is an Ember Isle situation. Otherwise, this is okay. We're literally removed from the campaign. We're stranded. Let's sit and talk about this. All while we can develop more of a rapport. We have a lot of information. We learned a ton of stuff. What's going on? Who's out here? Etc. and so forth. Uh-oh, how do we say it out here? This is a great recap moment. When they hatch a plan and seemingly have a firm grasp of what we wanted them to know so far, a foreign boat comes to rescue, comes by them. And it's here that they're going to have to persuade a trade boat from the neighboring country passing by in order to pick them up. When all of them are from Kandor, and one of them is from the Empire that's invading specifically through this country's back door. And this should be like a very hard one. And you can reduce the difficulty if you think that they've been paying attention and you have a good group. Otherwise, you know, make them earn this. And then, hey, lo and behold, the boat, you can have the boat come up to this city here and they're back. And look at that. Hey, they can travel back through this area where they're known and they can check on the progress because maybe they're stranded for a couple weeks or a month or a couple months. And then they can check on the progress. Oh, you're those people who did the thing. Yeah, we love you even more because the seeds you planted are bearing fruit. And sure enough, the disease you cured here, well, this swamp was starting to succumb. This natural swamp was succumbing to it, but now they had the cure or whatever. So, dropped off at a city. Does it really matter? Not necessarily. Look, if this boat really wanted to, it could just drop them off here, maybe take some of their money or do whatever. You know, if we have a character who wears her heart on her sleeve, maybe Salen promised other things. I'm keeping it PG-13. That's up to the player. Though boats can go upriver, you know, even through a swamp. Boats can come around if they want to end up back here, or they want to, or if you want them, I should say. How much time do you want to have pass? How much do you want to remove them from the world or continue their reflection? Or do you, did they really like the Sahagin and they're like, whoa, there's Sahagin here? What's going on? I want to explore that. Maybe they encounter Sahagin along the way. Again, we have multiple paths that we're taking to get to the same point. Any of these are fine. Whoop. So again, they're leaving more good stuff behind them. Building a rapport with the sailors, honing their skills, right? Then it's going to be important here or soon after they again see the BBEG, only this time it is quite personal. Captured? Well, I guess that'll depend on their behavior. If they were rude to the sailors on the boat, maybe they were just, you know, turned over, or something along those lines. Remember that our guide, and we're spotlighting her, our guide looks like someone from the Imperial Northlands. If the BBG is in town and there's rumors that there's been an Imperial going around and doing stuff, you know, this might be the Darth Vader in Cloud City, right? You know, hey, come join me. Pray I don't alter the agreement again. Get over here. Well, you said give them a bone. Generally, people jump off the train when they don't like the landscape. That means the players might have gotten disinterested in the path and what's going on. You mean Aang is now a girl? Hey, maybe. I've seen fan fiction, man. Rule 34 exists. Usually you got to look at what makes a game fun for your players to figure out why they're bailing. That it's true if you're facing that situation. That's why I'm trying to keep some things open-ended and say, look, we're setting a goal, and here's ways you can get to it, but it is flexible. That's the problem with designing for fictitious characters. I get a lot of questions daily about what I would do as a player in situation A, because the designer can't design an adventure in a vacuum. I may be old school, but that's the core. Is still questing and such. Hasn't changed. BOEF isn't allowed. What is BOEF, Shadzar? And no, I appreciate that old school approach. It's also why I quit designing adventures and went back to world design, Babakis. Make a good world and let the little adventure modules be tossed into place. Yep, that's another way to approach it as well. Now, if they're captured, this is going to be trouble for Guido. And we're not featuring him. He obviously, all the players have stuff they can do in each of these parts. We're not featuring him just yet, though. But this is going to be sort of the cat and mouse game. This may be an escape or get out, or even we have it be that the one player is that she's captured, and the party needs to escape. I don't know, something along those lines. Sorry, I'm bringing up her. Yeah, all right, so she has swamp and forest survival. Let's just say that they come back to the major city of the mountains here. She's good at tracking and whatnot. Maybe physical encounter along the way. Okay, they see the BBG, only this time it's personal. Captured / invited. He's curious about the Imperial that has been traveling with them. Makes an offer to her and the group. Moral conflict time. Remember, not all battles are just solving riddles or swinging a sword at goblins. Having a moral conflict can be big. You know what? Can your campaign end here? Because he sets down an offer, says, "Look, you've proven yourselves. We're moving into town. Be our agents. Work for us. And if not, we'll kill you. But if so, we'll let you live." You know, for her, this means that she could go back, and maybe she's like, oh, but this will bring world peace because they'll dominate. It allows people to have moments of doubt. Heck, maybe even Guido himself doubts and says, maybe I should work for him. I know what he can do. I know how vicious he is. It would let me prove my strength, but he's still really scared. This is a huge moral conflict now. Especially if you've been planting little seeds of whatever across the way about the brewing war, about the coming, the calamity. Also, having sailors from a different land gives you the ability to give another person's point of view. Not just if they're from this land, but they travel all around the interior of Mesotopia. That's great for getting rumors. That's great for setting the world stage. That's an awesome opportunity for you. So, he's going to make an offer in the group. And really, the crux of this level, at 15, this is a huge moral conflict. They should be left alone to ponder. By that, probably have assassins sent to kill them or test them. That way we're also getting not just a moral decision, but maybe he wants to force their hand. And so it's actually assassins, it's a red herring. It's someone else. It's someone else. And, and they might see through it or not. And they're going to come back, have a conflict, and say, yeah, I sent assassins after you. If I'm offering you to work with me, I don't want pansies. You know, I'm not out picking flowers, bros and sisses. You know, I want people that I know I can trust. Yeah, I tested you, and if you ended up dead, I mean, yeah, it's a shame, though, we lost warriors, whatever. But if you proved yourselves, I'm going to make you mighty if you join my cause. Otherwise, I'm going to kill you. Oh, gotcha! The BOEF, yes. That was a 3-5 book, a rather notorious one at that. And Shadzar, yeah, the Ember Island Players, the actor for Aang was... Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, a lot of young male protagonists are voiced by women voice actors. But yes, I guess the PG-13 version of that would be a card from the card game Munchkin called the Knee Pads of Allure. Bobicus, that was, yes, that's not just an infamous thing like the gazebo. The BOEF does exist. You're not sure where I want the link? Did I ask for the link? I don't remember doing so, but... Yeah, I don't think it had the Wizards logo. I think it was made to look official, because 3-5 books had all of, like, the filigree and, like, a photorealistic, like, gems and scrimshawing and everything. I don't think the BOEF was an official book. It just looked really official. It looked more official than other Splat books. Yeah, it might have the D20 logo. Gazebos are real things too, and they can take hundreds of arrows before going down. Moral conflict. They give their answer. Test fight with BBEG. Now, if your BBEG is tough, he has guards or whatever with him too, you have the option as a DM. Do you want to Deus Ex Machina this? Because you should want to make sure you put your PCs in their place. But is he going to retreat? If you want him to be this strong alpha villain or whatever, he's not going to. He's going to want to try and push or out-strategize or out-kill. Now, Kaiser here, this would be something for him to do. And this could also be a chance for Ceylin to use her instincts. Or maybe he puts him in, the most dangerous game situation where he sets him out in a reserve. And he says, yeah, if you can survive 3 days, I'll stop trying to kill you. Because I have other things I got to do. I'll play with you for 3 days. Can you survive 3 days? So you can play the toying villain. Do you want a monologuing villain? Do you just want him to go straight up? And then we have a Deus Ex Machina of some kind? If so, we've allowed for it because there's 100 fairies that have 1,000 Dust of Dryness spheres that have a very interesting effect should those spheres be broken. And those fairies might have been following along because they're super curious about what all the players have been doing, and they just keep themselves invisible. This whole time there could be, I don't know, 3, 4, 6 fairies that have just been following them, watching them invisibly. And you could even plant that here, right? We have a test fight with BBG. Do we want a Deus Ex Machina? Fairies curiosity should surface here one way or another. Tough fight. Worth a level itself. If you want to have a session of like build up and banter, and then a session of that, but here we have like the boss fight. It's not even a sub boss. We have the boss fight, but he's building up, or there's something else that's distracting him until they can have the fight with him at the end. Now, having seen that the boss actually bleeds blood, finally it's time for Guido to shine. He's going to step up. Guido steps up, resolved. Wants to end what is happening and put his fears to rest. And by the way, if the boss retreats or leaves, make sure to leave a clue behind. So, Guido's going to step up. He's resolved. He's been through all this. His friends, all his other friends have been through everything. They've learned things. They've grown stronger and wiser along the way. Guido's stepping up. He wants to confront this. Must investigate the clue left by the Warden BBEG. And so this can be some kind of social interaction. In fact, because in this campaign world, they've been to a temple, they've resolved things with thieves, maybe. There are some fairies that are following them around that might have some interesting knowledge. They have the Heartland here, the breadbasket that they can talk to. They have a supernatural agent in the skeletal captain. Or they might have even impressed this fearsome tyrant in the city that's overwatching this central lake area. They can now go back on this road to epicness and use the resources they've cultivated. Or if you want to leave a clue and say, no, you go north, my party. One of the clues could be clue left matches the ancient downed Imperial airship left in the middle of the field to the north. Again, this was a random roll. Here's our northern expanse. There is an important library or archive. It's an attraction. It will get some other members of the party out there. However, there's also a wrecked ship which might not be near water. We did this. And not only that, maybe the warden dropped his key in the battle, and something has happened to that allows the PCs. Maybe that's sleight of hand because we're offering Ceylin the ability to use her skills. She pockets it. But they have a direction, and they have a bit of a MacGuffin. Travel north to find the ship while distancing themselves from an aggravated BBEG. There we go. Oh, you meant if Bobicus wanted a link to it on RPG now, even... Okay. If you want to, like, private message or something, or if it's just a link, Shadzar, if you just put a disclaimer like, hey, this book leads to mature content for role-playing, I'm not going to worry about that unless the link itself has a bunch of explicit words in it. I don't mind a text disclaimer that allows people the choice to go there or not. You know, if you put it in something else, or you could just DM it over to him through Discord or through Twitch. Bobicus, I'm good, man. No need to peddle your smut. You appreciate the clarification. You still can't get over that name, huh? WotC was so ashamed of the book, yet they hired a guy from D&D with... And now the official D&D Twitch... Oh, I saw something about that. I was looking at other D&D games being run, and I'm like, what? Bunch of flip-flopping hypocrites, if you ask me, says Shadzar, shaking his cane. Derek, what did you miss? Shadzar was shaking his cane. So it's okay for books to be designated by smut actors, okay for streams to have smut actors on them, but not an actual D&D book to be filled with smut by one of your in-house authors. That's what you missed, Derek. And some more campaign planning as we're in the home stretch now. Travel north to find the ship while distancing themselves from an aggravated BBG. Right, he's going to be on the murderous warpath, won't offer him a chance, etc. and so forth. This could be another dungeon with conflict or traps or hostile wildlife that reflect clues as to the nature of the craft or how it operated. Dungeon. It could have riddles. It could have a foreign language inside of it. This is also allowing you to develop at least the history of this external enemy that we're still building to in the series of these campaigns. They're going to go through and they're going to recover something that could be valuable monetarily wise. It could just be very valuable information. This could very well play. Maybe Tundle was just saying, I kept seeing visions of a ship in a field. It made no sense. Here he is. We're toward the end. We want to resolve things with our characters as best as we can. And remember, if his discovery comes to light, it could bring ruin to the world. Maybe his discovery is about the nature of dragons. Maybe his discovery is about the nature of this empire and how it began. In fact, that discovery, as we kind of teased before, was that the empire existed as far south, not even as Kandor, but of Mesomasca down here to the south. This was all part of one, old, like an Ottoman Empire sort of a thing. And if this was discovered, and now the motivation for the empire is laid bare, this could mean big political shifts. You're either going to have apologists saying, no, don't hurt us, come and reclaim your lands, but just let us govern it. Or people are going to say, oh, shoot, they're coming back for their stuff. They want their land back, and apparently they've been busy. They've been busy bees. They have airships and all this other stuff that we don't, or however you want to flavor it as a DM. This is a huge revelation. This shifts the power of the region, not just of Mesotopia, but far to the north. So they travel north. There's a dungeon, major historical / arcane revelation about dragons, the region, the empire, etc. All right, so they have this information. Maybe they found some equipment, right? They don't make it like they used to. You can hand out a treasure parcel of, some interesting kind here as well. And so now we have a they're pressing an advantage. They've rallied. They've set aside their fears because now they know. And in fact, maybe they found something. Maybe they found something that the BBEG was looking for. So now, they have something the BBEG was looking for, and can set the terms for the conflict or negotiation to happen. Oh, I misspelled that. Because, do you want it to be a fight, or do you want it to be... Do you want to go on skills? Is the final combat, is it something like a moral victory or an intellectual victory? Or is it a physical one where you kill, knock out, capture, or whatever this person? Mind you, he might even still be operating under political immunity, which means that here we go. We have Guido, right? He has this strength, but he has subtlety, persuasion, performance, intimidation. He is a charisma and strength rogue. Acrobatics, sleight of hand. He can get in. He can plant evidence. He can do all this. Time to strip the shield from the BBEG by informing others about the plan. Kaiser would get aboard on this. He wants advantage in this situation. This could very well be another skill check, or this could be travel. Travel, skill check, social interaction. Right? They're spreading rumors. They're calling out to the BBG. Your father was a hamster, your mother spelled of elderberries. We're letting everyone in Kandor know why you're here, the claim that you hope to make. Well, we're holding on to that birthright, or we're holding on to this information. Kandor is ours, or, however. So we're not just, he's not just a Kronk smash. He is a deceptive person. He's an infiltrator also. He's the type who wants to plot and plan to get the drop, right? He's an assassin. Not by trade, but by tactic. So finally, with political power stripped away, this leads to the final conflict with the BBEG. The point of this milestone is to reverse the manhunt from earlier, because that's excellent poetic license, on him, and drive him into a trap of Guido's making. More poetic license. This warden, pulled his nails and teeth out in the POW camp, or branded him, or tortured him, killed his friends in front of him. Now he is the predator, and the warden, this evil warden, is the prey. We're playing to Guido's strength while bringing everyone else along. We have planners. Kaiser has cartography tools. We have the thinkers. We have wise people. We have the survivalist who knows about hunting. Everyone is coming together. The plan is coming together at the end of the campaign. And they can take some path that they're creating and use the DM say, "Oh, you're really smart. You figured out my plan. Thank you for telling me the plan." Sorry, I missed a couple things here in the grand finale. Jeez. Finally. Okay, Shadzar shaking his cane. Everyone can see the name of the book. Yeah, no problem. If you want true, look up the Encyclopedia Arcane's line. They have a book by those idiots, which puts the BOEF to shame. I have the netbook of unlawful carnal knowledge from 2nd edition. I had at one point but lost it. Oh, I didn't post a link to the netbooks. Don't visit this link unless you want to spend the next 2 months in-depth reading D&D content books. No, I don't see it because it was EQ almost all night. Yeah, giving the money on the thieves can't link. Thought I had the main link too. The Book of Herbs could make an entire campaign. Yeah, instead of Monster Hunter, we're herb hunters. Encyclopedia Arcane's Nymphology, worst of the bad books for 3 or 3.5. That would be anything written by James Wyatt. Oh, shots fired. Pew, 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 pew. Nee. Surprisingly, it's written by Mongoose Publishing. Monty Cook, the blight on RPGs that's bigger than Matt Mercer. Jeez. Too soon? Too late? Something along those lines. So finally, after all these years, the giant boss conflict, it happens. It goes down. Do they die? Do they give in? Do they side with him? Do they let him go? Do they arrest him? Who knows? That's up to your players to decide based on everything that you've done. But we've now made a 20-level campaign based around the Kandor region. It flows. It makes sense. It highlights all of our players. Although I need to highlight here. She was... There we go. She was kind of this, like, magenta color. And by the way, this nice reversal of fortune, this is where you get your last ASI or feat. This rallying, this coming together, all of this can be reflected by you take that last stat bump to get smarter, stronger, more hit points. You take a feat to be a little bit better in a certain situation because you know what you're getting into. You know that he's a caster, and so at level 19, you really cheese it and you take the Mage Slayer feat. Cheesers. Ta-da! And that's what I call the aristocrats! Dun, 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 dun. Because he ain't the we. He's pure chaff. The puns! The puns! Alright. With this, I'm going to take a quick break. I've been talking a lot. I've been sipping tea the whole way, but I got to get up and stretch. I don't have a yoga bot to tell me that, but I do have a clock. So I will BRB, buddy.